Okay, there we go. All right. Good evening, everybody. This is the live session of the Inner Circle. Today is June 26th. And so we are now live with the Inner Circle, and we just opened up. And we were talking about the Inner Circle moving forward and what that means. And we were talking about how the Inner Circle is going to focus on calling moving forward and as actually how to cultivate the call on your life, whatever that calling is. And so many people have made the mistake of thinking that calling only has to do with ministry, where in reality, calling has to do with whatever gifts, skills, and abilities that you have, and that you've been using those gifts, skills, and ability to do a certain assignment, to do something that God has actually given you the ability to do, and then where you do it at. So regardless of what your call is, you are going to be doing that call wherever you are. Okay. So some people have the call of ministry. The call of leadership. Some people have the call of, ministry in terms of the fivefold: pastor, prophet, teacher, evangelist, and I forgot, apostle. Some people have the call of administrator. Some people have the call of exhorter. Whatever your calling is, whatever you feel that you have the unique skills, abilities, and talents to do, all of that is wrapped into what your call is, but you don't necessarily have to do it in the church. And I think that is what has killed a lot of Christian women, because you feel like that your calling has to be in the church, and it doesn't. There are a lot of people who are called to help people, and they're doctors or they're nurses. There are a lot of people who are called as leaders, and they are doing things in the community. There are a lot of people who are called as business people. They actually have a knack and a skill of being able to help people in terms of business, and they do things. Like Kimberly. Kimberly has a knack of being able to bring people together to help people get to a desired end. And so she's created the Visionary Networking Circle, and that's not a church. Now, a lot of Christian people are in it, of course, but that's not necessarily a church. And so, so I really... now the way what God is showing me is that it's so important that we understand what our calling is. What are the unique gifts, skills, abilities that make up the call on our life? And I thought, just like everybody else, that your calling could only be used in ministry, that you were only called to ministry. But if we were only called to ministry, then there would not be carpenters. If you think about the Bible, going back, there were carpenters in the Bible. There were doctors. Luke was a doctor. Okay. There were tax people or finance people in the Bible, So everybody has something unique, all right, that God has put a gifting, a talent, made you a resource. But are you doing it in the right place? This really became heavy on my heart when this lady called me, and she said she's got this great unique talent for helping people with their finances or whatever. And she said, but her pastor won't let her do anything. Her pastor just won't let her do anything. And I'm like, well, what does that have to do with your calling? I understand that, that's a church, but why aren't you? She says, well, it's a calling. And she said, I thought your calling only could be in spiritual settings. And that's when I realized, I said, oh my goodness, if she really believes that her calling can only be done in spiritual settings, can you imagine the amount and the numbers of people that don't get help because she's limiting herself to where that call can be? So think about the gifts, the skills, the abilities that you have, and ask yourself, am I actually operating in my calling in the right place, number one, or number two, can it be expanded beyond where I am? I always thought that my calling of leadership and administration, all those things, I thought it had to be in the church, because calling church. I didn't know any better. But the more I began to research calling, and the more I began to, even when I go to the Bible, where's my word? When I go to I got me a different Bible, y'all. I don't know why I just went back to the plain old, just black. I think because I like the fact that I could put my rainbow things in it, and it looks, can y'all see that? My little tab. It looks so cute. I love putting tabs and stuff. But anyway, when I went back and started reading in here in the Bible and just began to look at that everybody that God called to do something it wasn't necessarily in the church. And I think that we put a how do you say a stuck, and we stagnate our own selves when we feel like that the only place we can do something is in the church. Okay. Like I really applaud Cheryl and her workshop this weekend. Okay. Because I had to leave. I only stayed like about maybe 30, 45 minutes. I think I took more pictures the whole time I was there than anything else, but I couldn't stay that long because we had to get to Greensboro. Bradley was in the Powerade games this weekend. So we were there. But one of the things that I saw is that even though it was worship, but there were different people from different places. Everybody there wasn't about worship necessarily in the church. They wanted to learn to worship. Some of them for their own individual, for their own, what do you call it? Personal, gratification, and learning how to do it. What does it mean? And the first assignment, I loved it when Cheryl gave an assignment. The first assignment that Cheryl gave them was to write a letter to God. And I was like, wow, write a letter to God. And then you said something that has been in my mind and in my spirit since she said it. Cheryl said to tell God about himself, but you can't use any other word that you describe in using something else. So for example, if you say that God is good and you say the food is good, then how can you describe God in the same way that you describe food? He's better than that. So the food, God can be good, but the food has to be delicious. You see what I'm saying? Or I always say that God is awesome, but I always say that people are awesome. All right. So this began to really make me think about that. But the reason I'm giving that as an example is because her using her gifting of worship, of teaching, of helping people to understand about worship and everything, and really getting that to people really helped those ladies who were present that day on Saturday really begin to break down worship so they can make it happen in their own lives. And so your unique skills, gifts, and abilities, and some of you know what they are, and some of you are operating in them, and some of you want to operate in them more. And what I'm telling you is don't wait until you feel that someone is going to give you the opportunity. One of the things that one of my coaches told me is don't wait for somebody else's stage, make your own. And your stage could be your own workshop, like Cheryl did. Your stage could be creating your own organization, like Kimberly, Visionary Networking Circle. It could be a church, it could be a book, but it also could be make your own stage in life. What is it that you need to do or that you've been wanting to do that you haven't done? All right. What is it that that you're gifted to do? And it could be just taking care of someone, being there for someone and taking care of that person. Or, just like for me right now, part of my gift, I'm using my gifts to take care of my son, because I've got to be here for him these last 4 years, now 3, because the freshman year is gone. These last years that he's going to be here, as a high school student. So think about your gifts and your abilities and your talents and ask yourself, am I using them in the right places? And can I expand where I use them? Look at Joy. Joy had the unique gifts, skills, and abilities for online courses. I love it when I ask a question about something about technology, and Joy sends me something about this long back. When she types up the response, it's thorough. I can use it. She types up the response, but that's a gift. Everybody can't do that. Everybody doesn't necessarily have the knack to do online courses. Okay. So she's combining her gifts, her talents, the things that other people come to her for. And now she's using that as a part. Because what I really, really want in this season in our lives, in the lives of other women, visionary women, is to understand that your calling is what God has gifted you to do. All right. Where you do it depends on where you are in a particular season. So if your calling is business, it may be that you're either building a business, you're making more money in the business, or you're shutting the business down. If your calling is ministry, regardless of what it is, or to do something in ministry, all right. And here's another thing, and we're going to get to today's, all this goes into tonight's lesson about tapping into and keeping momentum. I'm going to give you 3 things tonight, because what you guys have done as a part of the inner circle is that you've gained the momentum to keep moving. You've gained the momentum. All of you are moving forward. You're doing the kind of things that you wanted to do. Some of you may be doing things slower or faster. That depends on our life. Okay. If you've got small children, it's hard for you sometimes to take time to spend time on certain things. All right. If your children are growing out the house and you don't have that, then you've got all the time in the world to do certain things, you know. But one thing I want to make sure of, I want to give you 3 things tonight that will help you to keep the momentum that you have, so that you don't ever get unstuck, so that you don't ever get stuck again. All right. That if you ever feel like you're getting stuck or you're getting stagnant, okay, then you will make sure that you do whatever it takes such that you won't get stuck or stagnant. And I want to make sure I give you some clear strategies on tonight. And these are important, because when you start actually doing these strategies and actually making them a part of your life and keeping this kind of mindset, then when you come to a point where you say, okay, I'm getting tired, or I don't want to do what I'm doing anymore, you don't feel bad about it. So that's one of the things that a lot of people think. You know, I'm struggling with something right now. I can share this with you guys, that I have been elder of Christian education. I just realized, I looked at something the other day for we had graduation at church, and I was putting away the file for 2017. And I looked, and I have been the elder of Christian education since at least 2011, and maybe even before that. Well, I'm struggling with, okay, how much longer do I do this? How much longer do you, or am I holding back somebody else's calling who could actually step in and use their gifts, talents, abilities in that role? Am I holding somebody else back because I don't want to move, right? When you feel it's time for you to go on to something new, then your momentum for where you are will decrease, but your momentum for where you're going and the next thing that God has for you will increase.
Amen.
Okay. And the thing about it is, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with saying, okay, you know what? I've done this for 6. I mean, I was really looking at, I had the folder, and I was, you know, I had, I have these little forms that people fill out when they graduate, parents fill out. And what I do is I keep the current year, you know, where the kids fill out, you know, what they've done, their graduation, you know, where they're going to school, that kind of thing. So I keep that page for the current year, all the forms I have for the current year. Then I throw away the previous year. I put it in the shredder because it has names and stuff like that on, and I don't want that just in regular recycle. So I put it in the shredder. So anyway, as I was looking and I started looking at all the years, I'm like, I've been doing this for a long time. But in my heart, I'm like, I love education. I do. I love it. But at the same time, I'm like, you know, I'm kind of ready to move on to something else. And I was feeling guilty because the first thought in your head becomes, well, who's going to do it if I don't? Believe me, when God assigned it to you, he had already determined who your successor was going to be. Oh, wow. When God assigned it, so don't think that because you've built up so much momentum in a certain area, and then you get that thing to a certain point, and then you feel like it's time for you to draw back because you see some other things that you really want to be a part of. And then you start feeling guilty because you're like, okay, if I step away, how is it going to hurt? How will it impact the people? But keep in mind, if you don't do what God is calling you to do, or take your, and I won't even say calling, because I can say that God is calling me to education. That's true. But if you don't take your calling to the next season, all right? You don't take your calling to the next season of your life, or the next season of ministry, or the next season of business, or the next season of your career, then you are stopping, number one, yourself, and then you're stopping, number two, the people who could actually be in that role now. You're stunning their growth. You're keeping them stuck because you don't want to move. And I know that gets hard. That gets hard because we want to stay comfortable, you know. We kind of want to believe it ain't going to happen if you ain't there. You know, you kind of want to believe that things will fall all to pieces if you ain't there. But that won't happen. That's not going to happen. You know, what's going to fall to pieces is you, because you're staying in a place that is draining you after a certain point. You're staying in a place that's draining you. And you just, and you know, the more I think about it, I was talking to my ministry mentor, Dr. Brown, and she and I were talking about, you know, how when you stay in a place too long, when do you know it's time to go? You know, when do you know it's time to, I mean, it could be a job, it could be your business, it could be something in your life, it could be ministry, but when do you know it's time to go? How do you know it's time for you to move on to your next? All right. What are those things? All right. Is everybody okay with that? Everybody okay with that so far?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So let's talk about and make sure that we don't get stuck. These are things that as you move from one season, as you take who you are, your gifts, your talents, your skills, your abilities, your relationships, as you take all this to the next season, then here are three things I want you to, they're real simple. All right. Got some things to talk about under each one. I'll make this brief so we'll have time for Q&A and going back and forth. But there's three things I want you to understand. Number one, you have to understand how to continuously build your momentum. Continuously. I'm gonna put that word in there. I didn't have that in my notes, but continuously build your momentum. All right, that's the first one. The second thing is you have to understand how to purposefully, I can never say that word right, purposefully protect your momentum. That's the second one. Continuously build your momentum and then purposefully protect your momentum. And the last one, number three, is you need to understand how to maintain your momentum. That when you're in a place, how do you maintain that momentum? Okay? So build it, protect it, and then maintain it. Those are the three things we want to talk about tonight. And like I said, I'll be brief with these so we'll have time for Q&A and going back and forth. So the first one is understanding how to build momentum. Number one, the way you build momentum is making sure that you are doing the right activity at the right time. That is, I know it sounds simple, but doing the right activity at the right time. Because if you're doing the right activity at the wrong time, momentum for you or trying to get anything going is going to be frustrating. You're going to wonder why people aren't working with you. You're going to wonder why the finances for this is not working out the way it should be. You're going to wonder why is it that you're so busy that you can't get anything done, right? So building momentum, meaning continuously building momentum, meaning that wherever you are, you do whatever it takes to keep yourself going in that place. Now, this means that if you're going to keep moving, that's what momentum is. Momentum is a force of movement, all right? Then building momentum means that you have to be around things that help you move. Some of you being in the inner circle helps you build momentum, all right? Being in Impact Academy, I gotta get used to saying the word academy on the end of that. Being in Impact Academy helps people move forward. That's the force of movement. That's the force that helps you move. Because remember, momentum is a force that's pushing you forward. Okay. And so if there are things that are actually preventing you from moving forward, If there are things that are preventing you from moving forward, let me tell you some things that prevent you from moving forward. One of the two, now I want you to remember these right here, that I call them the 2 P's. One is procrastination and one is perfectionism. Oh, I saw Lisa's face. All right. Those are 2 things that will kill momentum, is procrastination and perfectionism. I don't have to go into what those 2 things mean, because I'm sure you guys know what they mean. All right. But when you, number 1, try to be perfect, or number 2, you keep putting it off, then you're killing your own momentum. You are the force that is stopping your momentum. Sometimes, I know for me and other people that I talk to, we try to blame other people, other situations, other types of things that keep us from moving forward. Okay? But you can't do that. Don't do that. Look at the situation, ask yourself, what am I doing such that, because you're the only person or only thing in this equation you can change. Okay. So what am I doing that's stopping me from moving forward? What am I doing that's stopping me from building the kind of momentum? Is it my thinking? Is it my mindset? Do I have a perfectionist mindset? Do I have a procrastination mindset? So when you think about building momentum, I want you to think about those 2 words, procrastination or perfectionism. And most of the time we fall in one or the other. And sometimes we procrastinate because of fear. Yeah. So just don't think procrastination is waiting to do stuff, but you got to dig deep. Why are you waiting to do it? Are you afraid? Is it fear? Are you looking for approval from other people before you step out? Before you get moving with something that you want to get moving on? All right. Begin to think of momentum and being able to build it as a process. What do you need to build momentum? Do you need to be around people that are moving forward? Do you need to hear, every week, is there something that you need to listen to? All right. What is it that you need to be able to move forward? What is that force? Like for me, I'll be honest with you, there are a lot of preachers that I love and listen to. Okay. But there is not y'all still there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I pushed the button by mistake. There are, I'm trying to find my YouTube, but there are 2 preachers that I just love to listen to because they're so applicable kind of thing. And one of them, of course, people know me. I love T.D. Jakes. Okay. So you can see him there on my screen. You see him there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I love T.D. Jakes. I love T.D. Jakes because he has a unique ability to be able to break down the word and to be able to make it apparent and make it usable in your life. And the other one, let me see, can I find where are my other ones? It should be on here. And I always mess up this guy's name. I always say it wrong. And Joy, I think it's actually your pastor. Steve, how do you say his name?
Stephen Furtick.
Furtick, yeah. Furtick. Stephen Furtick. Okay. Joy, if you're at your computer, could you type his name in there? Because I always mess it up. I'm trying to find his picture, and because I know I was listening to him recently.
Okay, I'm not at my computer. I'm on my phone.
Oh, well, how do you spell his name?
F-U-R.
F-U-R.
Yeah. T-I-C-K.
Okay, I just put it in there. Okay, so his name is Steve Furtick, and he's actually 3. Him, T.D. Jakes, Steve Furtick, and Joyce Meyer. All right, those are the 3. There's not a week that goes by that I don't listen to one or all of them. One or all of them, and that's because that's what I need in terms of my daily growth. All right. So what I'm saying is, what do you need?
The creators of this new free app are hoping to
now I got the
safer.
That came on. There we go. I pushed the YouTube button and it came on. So my question is, what do you need, all right, to be able to get through that? You need some pouring in, all right? The inner circle is great, but we only meet once a month. I mean, when I go to the new inner circle, we go to the new thing. There's going to be teaching twice a month. It's going to be a little bit different. Yes, he's executive pastor at Elevation Church. And I will tell you, there's an Elevation Church here in Raleigh. I think it's a satellite from there. I think it is. And I was really, really considering going there once. I just want to go. I just want to experience him. And I know it'll be a satellite. I know that he won't be there in person. But I really want to just go and experience that because he's such a phenomenal teacher. He is such a phenomenal teacher. And I just happened to run across him. And some friends of mine actually went to that church and visited, and they talked about how great it was. But the thing about it is you need to determine, what do you need to build momentum in your life? To build momentum. And here's a secret. Don't try to build momentum around everything that you do. That's too overwhelming. Pick the areas where you want to build momentum and work those. It's going to be difficult to build momentum in every single area that you are in. Some things you're just going to have to be status quo. You know, you got to keep it going. All right. But there are some things that you just have a heart and a desire to move, you know, a heart and a desire to pour more of your gifts, skills, and abilities into. All right. For example, this past season, as Carol was writing her book, her gifts, talents, skills, abilities went into that. Okay. And it's still going into that as she plans for her event on the 19th. All right. Then I know she's got something else coming up. And now she's pouring off. I ain't gonna tell her gifts, talents, and skills and abilities. I know she's got something pouring into that. All right. But for every season in your life, build momentum for certain things. Don't overwhelm yourself and try to keep everything going at the same speed in your life. You will find yourself being overrun by the rock that you're trying to build. Mm-hmm. It'll kill you. And then you wonder why you're overwhelmed. You wonder why you need a vacation. Sometimes you wonder why you need a vacation from the vacation, because you come back and you still don't feel you rested. All right. But that's the thing around building your momentum. Okay. Build it. All right. Consistently, continuously, and consistently build your momentum. The second one is understanding how to purposefully protect your momentum. Now, this one's critical because this one all has to do with relationships. All right. Has to do with relationships and people that keep you immobile. There are some people that will keep you immobile. And when you decide that it's time for you to take the next step, they don't want you to take the next step. Or you blame them for not allowing you to take the next step. You put the blame on them because you can't do something. So you have to purposefully protect your momentum by, before you put yourself into something, this is critical. If I would have known this back in my college days, I would have been dangerous by now. But I'm learning it over the past 4 or 5 years that I've been doing this. But before you actually put your all into something, count the cost. Not that you got to count monetary cost too, but count the cost of what it's going to cost you and the people around you if you move forward with it. So if it's a business, if it is a ministry, if it's a new career, if it's going back to school, or whatever it is, determine what it's going to take for you to continuously to move forward with it. And then ask yourself, am I willing to make sure that nothing is going to hamper what I'm getting ready to start? Or what I'm getting ready to build this momentum. As I build this momentum, and if a relationship comes in and it doesn't fit what you're doing, might look good, but it doesn't fit what you're doing, are you willing to say to yourself, let me push that relationship out for right now? Or maybe I can't spend time with that person right now. All right. So it doesn't matter the size of what you're going to do to move forward. It doesn't matter the size, whether it's big motion, whether it's big momentum, big steps, big or small, regardless of what size of the step or the force that you're moving forward. It doesn't matter the size. What matters is how much are you going to do to protect it. And I'll tell you, that's hard sometimes. That's really, really hard. Because you have to decide, what friends can stay in this season and what friends can't. I use the word friends very loosely. What people are going to be there to support me and what people are not. What people or what situations can I still take part in and what things can I not? Who can I take care of? And that could be emotionally, financially, physically, whatever. Who can I take care of in this season, and who has to move? Or can I actually, what's the word I'm looking for? Delegate. Or can I delegate some of the things that I've been doing? Because here's the thing. When you truly want to move forward in an area, then you have to do all you can to protect it. Because if you don't, then what will happen is you'll lose the momentum and you'll get frustrated, you'll get tired, then you'll begin to blame yourself or blame others because you're not moving forward. I had this experience with somebody that her desire was to go back to school. And first she blamed it on the money, right? Then her job kicked in and said that they had a new benefit, I guess what you call a new benefit, where they would pay for school. Now, you don't know many companies that'll pay 100%. I had the company I worked for when I got my doctorate paid 100% up until my dissertation. They paid 100%. So I paid nothing for that. And then when I went to divinity school, I was on scholarship. So I was an Azusa scholar. So after my first year, I paid nothing. All right. So, or my husband says he paid nothing since he paid all the bills. He paid nothing. But then money was no longer a problem. Because I said, well, if money's a problem, let's figure out a way you can get money. And so because she was a single mom and both she and her child were in college or would be in college at the same time, I didn't know that there were scholarships out there, that people have scholarships if you're single and you and your child are both in college at the same time. Okay. But they are. So anyway, so then full ride plus stipend. That's what was offered at the institution of her choice. The institution she wanted to go to. The institution she wanted to go to gave her this. All right. Or was willing to give it to her. And then she said no because she had to work. And I said, but money was the problem. And now your job said they pay for part. You got a full ride over here. I don't understand. There kept being excuse after excuse after excuse. The reason being is because she didn't count the cost of what it would mean if she went back to school. And now it's been like a year, almost 18 months now, a year and a half later. And the thing that she wanted to do, the thing that she wanted to move forward with required more education. It really did. It required more education. And she hasn't been able to do it. And now she's angry at other people, blaming them when it wasn't them, it was her. And so when she called me recently, I said, well, I might not be the right person to talk to because I told you what I told you, a while back. And so anyway, so what I'm trying to tell you is when you begin to build momentum and you start moving forward, then you've got to protect that movement that you're making. Because you'll want to slow yourself down. Other people will want to slow you down. Situations will want to slow you down. And let's not talk about the enemy. Let's not talk about the devil. He's going to definitely want to try to just take you out. Not slow you down, but take you out. All right? So that was the second one. So continuously build, purposely protect your momentum. And the last one is understanding how to maintain it. Once you're moving forward, how do you maintain it? How do you not get so overwhelmed with everything going on? All right. If you've got a business and you're a mom or you're a wife or you're taking care of parents or you're involved in school, whatever it is, all these things can seem overwhelming to you. And this is a strategy that I taught someone the other day in terms of maintaining your momentum. How do you keep it up? How do you not get so overwhelmed? And this is one thing I tell people all the time. Some people can do it and some people can't. But I tell people, get rid of to-do lists. I don't operate in to-do lists anymore. Okay? Joy's looking at me like, wait a minute. I'm going to show you. I don't operate in to-do lists anymore. This is what every single Sunday, after I finish Impact, sometimes I do this like right after I finish Impact, and sometimes it'll be like I'll get up like 4 a.m. and do it for the week. But either way, at the beginning of every single week, determine the goal or goals that you want to have happen that week, not tasks. I'm not talking about like, for example, I got something I bought a couple of workout shirts that I bought for Dennis at Walmart. He doesn't want them. I got to take them back. I ain't talking about that. I ain't talking about put a task list if I got to go take something back to Walmart. No, I'm talking about what are the goals that you want to see accomplished this week. For example, if you're writing a book, your goal may be to finish chapters 3, 4, and 5 this week. That's your goal. Okay. If you're working in your business, your goal may be to decide on a marketing coach or someone to help you with marketing. That could be a goal. All right. Now, the reason you do it goal oriented is because there are tasks that go along with the goals. But if you start with the to-dos before you know what the end is going to look like, then you'll mess yourself up. You'll get overwhelmed. Some of you only need like 3 or 4 goals for the week, if that many. I usually try to limit mine to 3. And those are the 3 things in everything I do. Now, there may be some other little things that might happen during the week I might work on. But everything I do has to attach itself to a particular goal that I have that week. So like now, one of the goals that I have to have now every single week until it becomes a habit is eating healthy and and making sure that I become more healthy. All right. So part of the tasks that are associated with that goal, and this is how I maintain the momentum that I have of being healthy, is to make sure that I go and get fresh fruits and vegetables, to make sure that I exercise every day. Those are the tasks that go along with that goal. One of my goals for this week, in terms of my own, some decisions that I have to make, one of the goals is that I've got to make a decision about moving forward as being, over Christian education at my church. That's a decision I've got to make. No one can make that decision but me. I've got to make it. So this week, of course, I'm praying. I'm asking God, what is it that you want me to do? God didn't say move, I can't do it. I'm looking at what will it mean if I step down? Okay. I'm looking at that. I'm looking at, have I trained anyone else? Or do I, how long would it take to train someone? So those are the kinds of things that when you set a particular goal for the week, some of you don't need but one goal a week. Okay, I got you, Darlene. Okay. All right, have a great night. Okay, I think she hurts. Darlene is saying she had to leave. Okay, some of you have to know that you've got to set particular goals so that your task can be associated with the goal. If you just start with a to-do list, you won't get all those things done. How many of you have a to-do list every day, but you never get everything done on it? Never. Okay. But you have a goal that you're working towards. And this is something that I wish that, everybody knew. Like I told my son the other week, I said, Bradley said that he has a goal of beating his high score. His high score in a game is like 28 points. So if your goal is to beat that high score of 28, then what are you going to do this week to do that? Well, you got to get in the gym every day and shoot 200 points. So whenever you shoot, you know what's going in. You can't have a goal of, you can't sit down there and look at TV all day, because that does not line up with the goal that you're trying to meet by the end of the week. When you go play, I think it's some kind of tournament that Millbrook is playing in Sanford this weekend. If you want to beat that high score, then you got to be in the gym doing nothing but shooting. That's all you got to do. So when you have a goal, then your task match the goal, and you'll stop doing stuff that does not line up with the goal. How do you maintain momentum? Stay on track and do the things that are in alignment with your goals for the week. And revisit your goals every week. Revisit your goal every single week. Sometimes I'll have the same goal. I have 2 goals that I have yet to accomplish. I'm determined to accomplish them by the end of the third quarter. Actually, one of them we're working on now, because I've got to get past it. So I really want you ladies, as you move forward and you continue with what you're, the momentum that you've been building here. And I'm loving seeing the post about what you ladies are doing and how things are changing you. And, I get really jealous of Lisa because I can't swim. And Lisa be out there snowboard. What's that stuff you call snow skiing, or whatever that stuff is you doing out there?
Slalom skiing.
Water skiing, yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
And out there on the lake, you couldn't pay me to get out there because I can't swim. But, and I'm loving that in terms of how she's doing that. And then you're taking care of your mom and your business and all those different kinds of things. But I'm loving the transformation that I'm seeing in terms of what I'm hearing you talk about and some things that you say. And, as I watch Cheryl and just all of you ladies, you're doing amazing things that's working for you. But I don't want you to get into the next season, whatever that is, and then you just stop and you don't do anything. Hold on just a second. Hello, there's someone that called in, phone number area code 252. Who's that?
It's Kenya. I'm leaving the office, so I just called in instead of being on the Zoom.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Thanks, Kenya. I always check because we had, it didn't happen to me, but it happened to one of my, a friend of mine who's a coach, and she had someone, she thought the number was one thing, there's a number that she recognized in her Zoom, and especially with the phone numbers, with the video, you can see people, but with the phone, all I can see is a number. Unless that number is associated with the name, you really can't see the number. All you can see is a number and not a picture. But anyway, and it was somebody, believe it or not, that was stalking someone that was on the video.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah. They were actually stalking because she put it out there in the, how you have the group. That's why you don't see me put who's in the inner circle or who's in Vision Quick Start. You don't see me put that inside Vision Building Women, because Vision Building, we talk about it, but I don't put in there that you're in inner circle. Because ever since then, the person called in, and it was just a number. Like I see 2 numbers. I see the 910 number, I think it's Stephanie, and the 252, that's Kenya. I see those 2 numbers. Everybody else has a name or a face associated with it. But this person, and it was a female. So it was like one female stalking somebody. Yeah.
What?
And they knew where when you see the person, I'm in my, I still haven't gotten my books over here done yet, because I had got my attention got diverted. And so I still haven't finished my office, but where I am right now. You know that I'm in this room. And so the person, knew where she was. And I don't know what happened after that, but they knew, and that the person was actually stalking her, and they knew that she was going to be on Zoom. And that's how they found out where she was, based on what they could see. That's why I always check the numbers. That's why when somebody new calls in and I don't recognize the number, that's why I always check to see who that is actually on that line. So, but anyway, because otherwise, I won't know. So anyway, so I wanted to make sure that as you ladies move forward, that you really, really, really continue with the momentum that you're building. Do whatever it takes for you. For some of you, it may be to keep going in the inner circle. For some of you, it may be to go on to another type of class. Everybody needs to stay in Impact, because Impact Academy is only going to get better. I tell you, when God gave me Impact Academy and I woke up that morning and went, oh, okay, Lord, thank you. And I just, boom, put it out there. And I'm the kind that when I put something out there, hold on a second. This is my niece. Let me tell her. Can I tell you later? All right. When I put something out there based on the feedback that I get, I know that's what God has said to do. And I got all kinds of feedback on just the name. I didn't change anything. I just changed the name and added telephone. That's what we did. Okay. And we're going to have other people and different kinds of things in Impact Academy, because it's going to be a little bit different and more for that you have and that sort of thing. But anyway, so the bottom line is, as you move forward, as you move forward with what it is that God's calling you to do, please, please, please don't allow anything to get you stuck again. Okay, whatever it takes. If it's a mindset shift, right, then listen to whatever it is you need to listen to. If it's a community that you need, then be inside that community. If it's a course, then take the course. Do whatever it takes. Don't put yourself back in a place that you've already come out of. And don't allow other people to push you back in a place that you've already been delivered from.
Yes.
Because people will do that.
Amen.
People will do that.
Yes.
They will try to push you back in a place. All different kinds of ways they do it. But they'll try to push you back. That's something else that me and Dr. Brown were talking about, how the devil has no new tricks. He'll use the same old stuff to try to get you in a place that you've already been delivered from.
Amen.
Amen.
He definitely will. So let me stop here and see if you ladies have any comments about moving forward, or how this lesson tonight has impacted you. Because of course I have an assignment. It's not a hard one. It's not a hard one. It's actually an easy one. I shouldn't say that. I say that every time, and it's never easy. It's just thought-provoking and purposeful. Let's put it that way. Okay? So let me hear from y'all. What do y'all think about building and protecting and maintaining your momentum?
Well, the thing that stuck out for me, I'm actually on vacation now.
Ooh.
Yes, just real quick.
I see the beach stuff. Are you at the beach?
I'm on vacation now. First time in a few years. And so when you were talking about the momentum, and it dawned on me that there are some choices that I need to make. Because one of the things that I said I wanted to do during this vacation was actually spend the first 48 hours writing, just like getting my story out, like really just writing.
Mm-hmm.
And are you still there? Because it's showing somebody else. Okay. But what I have known all along is that what people come to me for is to teach them how to use technology.
Mm-hmm.
And how to make things accessible online for all learners, for like just training, that sort of thing. People who are concerned about accessibility, compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act and that sort of thing.
Oh, no.
I'm actually at the point where I have to turn down opportunities, people who were contacting me to train because I don't have the time to do it. So, and people come back to me time and time again to do that. So when you were talking about that, it made me kind of think about that because, okay, here's something, I'll just go ahead and admit it. When
Okay.
it comes to, so I've been saying that I want to be a career and faith coach, but people change their mindset is hard. Oh my gosh. Like, you know, seriously. I
Uh-huh.
don't, it is so, because there's so much that they've got in their blind spots, and it made me wonder, do I really have I don't think I have the patience for it as much as someone else. But when I'm teaching technology, the things that people say and that they put on their feedback forms is, I'm so patient, I make it fun, humorous. When I am hosting my e-group, that's my like Bible study group that I have, I forget to have, so I'm taking it so seriously. And so, gee, I think I just made the decision myself.
I was going to say something to me already.
Because,
You have to talk it out. You have to talk it out.
Yeah, and people come to me for writing, you know, because I can write a course on technology like that. You give me a day, it's written, the PowerPoint's ready to go with it, all the ancillary things, it's ready to go. But this career and faith thing, I'm getting now. This whole thing, the lesson was for me. The lessons for me. This past weekend, I had this little guy was taking me on this big self-love journey and ended in like this self-love party. I get it now. It's for me. And having a business in which I mentor other people through their careers is different from the mentoring programs that I've involved myself in when I've been volunteering in the past. It's a different level of risk. And when I think about what I put my time and my energy and my money into and what I'm willing to go back and learn things about, it's about technology so that I can give more, serve more. But, and you know, and that's, I think it's fair to the people that are out there who need a career and faith coach that I not produce something where I'm not willing to go back and continue to put as much into that as I am into this other stuff. So made my decision. There we go. And I am still going to spend the first 48 hours writing because I know God wants me to just get all this stuff out.
Right.
And then what am I going to? Okay, so then, all right. So there's a certification that I have been saying that I want to get, is to be certified that I know certain things about accessibility because I've always wanted to measure just how much I learn. So I am going to go ahead and say I'm going to take the exam in September, no later than September, and my focus is going to be on that. And I know that God will share with me through that what exactly he wants me to do with that, because there's a lot of risk for other people as well, you know, ADA compliance.
That's big.
And there are people out there who I see great things put online, great information, but it's not necessarily accessible for everyone, like, you know, and I think that they've got the information out there, but I don't know if they know that someone could allege that they are not including them, and then that could get them in trouble. Whereas I have this knowledge and I really have a heart for it. And perhaps, I know we've talked about this before, but with like people who are coaches, faith leaders, how to use technology or people in their church, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how all of this is going to bubble out. I just know it's going to work out. And that's what I'm going to focus on.
All right. Well, that's what, you know, one of the things that we always say as part of the Vision Building Institute is what? When you move, God will position you for more. We always say that. And when you're moving, and even if you're moving with something you feel like it's what you should be doing, God will show you what he wants you to do. And I think, Joy, that's where you are now. I mean, because career and faith is something that you've been wanting to do. It's been part of what you spent all those little little sheets that you had. Remember all those little pieces of paper? All those, you had it all lined up and all outlined, but you would have never gotten to the technology piece had you not at least moved forward with the career and faith piece. And don't feel bad if you have to, shut down your Facebook group or change your Facebook group. That's fine. That was for that season, and now it's a new season.
Yeah.
And then you move on, and just like you said, take your 48 hours, do what you're going to do in your 48 hours, and then just map out what does your next 90 days look like. What does your next 90 days look like in this new season? From what you want to do in technology. What does that look like now? What does that new business look like for you? Mm-hmm. Okay. One thing you said about that is accessibility certification. Mm-hmm. That's a piece of it. But now what other doors are opening for you because you've now stepped into the right place. Now you're operating in your calling in the right place. You were operating in your calling before with career and faith. And you were still operating in your calling, but you realize that's not the place where God will have you to be right now. You may go back to it. So don't throw away any of the work that you've done. You may go back to it, but for now, God is saying, this is where I want you to be. Because you feeling that. That's the case. All right? All right, but like you said, do your 48 hours. You pray. You ask God that first 48 hours, and then go from there. That's good.
Thank you.
Now you can breathe.
Oh. I had to be dramatic with it, Okay, thank you.
That's good. All right. Anybody else? About building, protecting, and maintaining your momentum moving forward. Cheryl?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess after this weekend, I was sharing with someone my commitment to the commitment has deepened. Because even in the very simple things, just in the setup and the results of just how I placed the chairs, listening to God, there was that the Lord just showed me that He's in every little thing. So I'm wanting to make sure that even in the next, the favor, so I was given a space for free.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was given, for and what I want to make sure that that when people say whatever they're going to say, and Pastor Shirley Brown told me, just get ready because they're gonna say it.
Oh yeah.
Just to develop a tough skin that this time I don't stop, because I know that God has a purpose and a plan, and that lives are tied up in it, and that worship is a real weapon, and that people need to understand the strategies to use them on a daily basis, not just on Sunday morning. And so how to develop that and to get it, and to get it out to people where they don't feel like, I remember there's something you said people think they're worshiping. They think they're worshiping. But the results is the fruit is not coming. So listening to the Lord, making sure I develop a tough skin, and changing that circle, or narrowing that circle wherein the people that are around what I'm doing in that vein understand why, what, and are there to support.
That's good. That's good. Because it's only going to get bigger. I mean, the way you taught, I mean, like I said, I only captured a little bit of it, you know, but the way you taught, I was like, I mean, just your gift of teaching and then putting teaching together with worship. It's just like people's lives were like okay, is that what worship is? You know, and it's not that people have been doing it wrong, but how can you be more effective at it? And that's what you really brought out, you know, for the time I was at. It was more than that because I left early, but that's what you really brought out that I saw. And so, you know, don't, like Pastor Brown said, Dr. Brown said, don't step back, only move forward. Don't step back, only move forward. You're going to be surprised at the doors that are going to be opened up now. You're going to be surprised at the doors that are going to be opened up. We got to work on that $7.24, but
and you people, and even with that, and I'm gonna tell you that, but even with that, the Lord taught me so much, even in the teaching. With the $7.24, He showed me, and I did open up my closet. Worship came for me through a divorce, because things have really got so bad. And I'll say here, my ex-husband brought his girlfriend to church and sat behind me in church. We were still married. So I was sharing with someone there, and she'd gone through a divorce, a really bitter divorce. And even in the worship that was happening Saturday, she shared that there were some places healed. But that $7.24 showed me how the Lord had increased everything that He had given by 7. So we have the house here in Clayton. I mean, the house here in Garner, the house in Clayton, and 5 acres of land in Nash County. That's 7.
That's 7.
And you know, so all the kids have a car. You know, Eric got his cars. I have my car. We actually have 7 cars.
Wow.
And so it was just like that. And I knew the Lord, I knew it wasn't for money, but when I counted up what people had actually given, it was 120, I want to say it was 120, right about $130. But that was twice as much as I was supposed to have getting, because people seeded in. And I know I wasn't doing it for the, and I thank Lalana, because she sold into the ministry. And this is just the first time. I'm just so overwhelmed at God and the people that He's placed around me and the ministry now. And I can't do anything but move forward. I can't.
That's right.
And thank you for pushing me, because sometimes you would say, look, I don't know what you're waiting for. I don't know what you're waiting for. God, you know, God's like, He ain't gonna give you. I remember you told me that in front of church. You just looked at me, you said, look, I don't know what you're waiting for. God ain't gonna give you nothing more until you move.
You sound like you from Rockingham. Didn't that sound like a Rockingham?
Yeah. And I really had to think about that, you know, so thank you.
God bless you. I tell you, you know, that's one thing that, you know, when you walk in your call, you'll see the fruit of it. And you've seen the fruit of it, you know, all of you, as you're walking in and doing the call. Again, where is your call going to be? And when you find out where that call is, then you build the momentum, protect it, and maintain it. That's what cultivating, as we go into the next season of the Inner Circle, that's what the focus is going to be on, cultivating what that call is on your life. And, you know, somebody asked me about, is this only for Christians? Well, I mean, you know, that's the focus. That's the foundation that I come from. So can other people be in it? Sure. I mean, I don't, you know, that doesn't bother me, but I'm still going to teach from a Christian perspective. The foundation is still going to be the Bible. So anybody can be in it. You know, I have if you've seen, there's a a young lady who's in the Vision Building Institute who's Muslim, and she's actually my cousin's wife, Kalia, and I call her my Muslim cousin. And so I call both of them my Muslim cousins. But, you know, she tells me after and she's on every single Impact. She either is on it or she's going to watch the replay. And she'll send me a personal text, you know. And right now, her husband, my cousin, is going through prostate, you know, cancer stuff, you know. And so she's struggling right now because how do you do both of those? How do you ask for healing from a God that can't heal you? Because his God can't. My God is still living. You see what I'm saying? So and even in that, because I don't personally try to get her to convert to Christianity. I'm not going to do that. That's something that has to come out of their heart. But now what they're seeing, you know, and so now they're having questions and asking questions and stuff like that. Now, do I expect them to convert to Christianity tomorrow? That's not the purpose of the Vision Building Women group. All right. The purpose of the Vision Building Women group is to show the love of Christ, of course, but it's also for people to get what they need to move their vision forward. And so when you look at what God has called you to do, I will tell you, ladies, whatever it is, don't stop. Don't let anything hinder you. Whatever you've got to move out of the way, then decide how and when you're going to do it, and then move. And it may be that you don't move something out of the way. It may mean that you step out of the equation, that you cut something, that you cut yourself out of the equation. I was, there's a young lady, Carol, I gave her name to you. She was doing some work for me. I took some new pictures and I wanted to be able to cut out the pictures so you can use them in different things. Well, she let her assistant do the first cutting. And when her assistant did the first cutting, there was all this white stuff around like a silhouette. So I sent them back to her and I said, you know, when I place this picture on a black background, you see that film of white. You see the white background that I was standing, because she didn't cut it precise enough. And so she apologized, and then she did them herself, and she resent it back to me tonight, and it was precise. Sometimes you got to cut yourself out, precisely cut yourself out of some things that you've been in so that the residue of other people will stay off of you. Is that residue of other people, it stays on you, and wherever you take yourself, this is good right here. Jesus. Wherever you take yourself, that residue that other people put on you just stays. I wish I could show it to you. I think I didn't delete all the ones that she sent, but basically she had some photos, and Tanisha, when she did my makeup and everything, she put me on a white background. So what I wanted the white background completely out, so I could take the picture, put it on a black background, a pink or whatever, you know, kind of the things that social media people do. That's what I wanted to be able to do. But when she did it, her assistant did it, there was a film of white that was all around me. You know, that's because she didn't do it precise enough. So wherever I put the picture, if I put it on a black background, you can see that white because she didn't cut it good enough. But I sent it back to the one who should have been doing the cutting. When I sent it to the one that should have been doing the cutting, the girl who did it before, but I sent it, but I told her that I didn't like it, and she did it herself. It was precise, all the way down to my rings, even around my fingernails. You couldn't see anything. So when I moved it over onto a black background, then all you saw was what was supposed to be there. So now what the Lord just showed me from that is, when you allow somebody else to start doing things and keeping you from or holding you back, when you even try to take yourself out and put yourself somewhere else, the residue of that experience, the residue of that person, the residue of that situation is going to carry and going to be with you everywhere until you cut off the things that don't need to be there. Until you precisely cut and do, like even around every little curl. Now, it's fortunately this time I had my hair straight. It was a straight hair, but even around every little curl, even around every shoulder. There was one picture where I was like this, and the first girl that did it, she just did this. So you saw these little all this white around my hand. Okay, I'm putting my hand up here. When she recut it, it was like precisely around my fingers, even the hoops around my rings right here, even that. Okay, but again, if you're doing something or you're allowing people to take you to a place, then all the stuff that they have put on you is going to stay with you until you shake it off. And that will slow down your momentum. It will slow you down. So as you move forward with your momentum, as you move forward with what it is that you've been called to do, as you go to the different things you're doing, if you have to shake off some residue, then just shake it off. Love them. Love the situation.
Bye. But
I got to go. I can't hang with you no more. When God elevates you, you know, and some people say, was it really God elevating me? Yes. We're women of God. Yes. It is God elevating you. It is God taking you to that next level and that next season in your life. All right. Let him do it. Stop allowing all these other people to tell you why you can't move or why you shouldn't be doing something or even getting angry with you. I had somebody get angry with me over a decision that I made. I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you. I had to do what I had to do, you know, and I can't be two places at once. So I had to make a decision and be here. And they were angry with me because they said, you shouldn't know. I am where. Now, did I count the cost of not going to the other place? Yes, I did. I did. And I knew what happened was going to happen. But when I looked at my goals for the week, being the other place didn't line up with it. Didn't line up with goals. So anyway, I'll leave that alone. Anybody else?
All I can say is amen, amen, amen. I am so free. I am so free. Yes, 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 yes. And if it had not been for me stepping out when I stepped out, I would not be where I'm at today. Mm-hmm. And I, as Cheryl said, I personally thank God for you and for my other mentor, coach, for y'all just continue to encourage me. And I even in the beginning with the book, when I and this is part of what I was going to share at my book signing, so y'all getting a first impartation of it. I had lost my job, and it was like, I remember Dr. Williams saying, well, I know the funding is going to be kind of hard right now. And I was like, okay. So, you know, I would write, but it wasn't a continuous thing. And so that momentum had just stayed at a plateau for a little while. And then I got another job and started back writing and everything. And it wasn't until the death of Pastor that it really stuck with me that I needed to move forward, because I not only promised God, but I promised him that one day I was going to write a book, you know, and I had to move forward. I had to move forward. And it's not about the money, because you don't become a millionaire writing a book overnight. You can. You can. You can. I'm going to put it in the atmosphere. I can. I will be, you know. I'm a mess now. I'm a mess. I'm a good mess though, you know. And so I stepped out and I got the book completed. And you say, you know, you write down specific goals, you know, that you're going to accomplish for the week. Don't make a list. And every Sunday, mine start on Sunday. You know, I say, God, this is what I need to sell this week. And he has not failed me yet. He has not failed me yet. You know, so I'm just continuing to move forward. There's no more procrastination for me.
Mm-hmm.
All my goals are way up here.
There you go.
You know? And I'm just so thankful for where God is taking me. I am I'm a little tired, and even on Impact last night, you know, I was good until 9:30. Until 9:30. And after that, I don't know what happened.
You would give out.
I don't know. We had a great time at church yesterday, and I just don't know what happened. You know, when I got up, it was 10 o'clock, and I kept trying to get back on online, and I couldn't. And I was like, dog.
Because you need to go to sleep.
I need to go back and listen to the replay because, you know, sometimes you think you're overwhelmed, but God is doing so much within you that you just need to know how to sometimes sit down and just take a 5-10 minute nap.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's the part that I'm learning right now. So I'm going to continue to stick with my momentum, and the things that God has for me are just so amazing. So y'all look out, and you're going to see what's about to happen.
Right now. Yay! Oh my goodness.
Thank you,
That's good. That's good. I like that. I like that. Woo! And you know folk gonna talk about you.
That's all right. They talked about me on Sunday. Somebody asked me a question on Sunday, and I was almost to this point to say something else. And I said, well, if I'm not getting what I was supposed to be getting, and I prayed and he told me to move, I have to move.
That's right.
And then they said, well, what about the part with the husband being the head? And I wanted to say, what about the part with the alcohol and you the minister? I'm the alcohol. But God kept this tone closed. He kept it closed. He kept it closed. So
I can see
God is telling me and showing me how to speak, even when people try to get me off track. You know, I was very professional and
you were good
in it. I said, God told me that I wasn't receiving what I need to receive, and it was time to go. And I left it at that.
Well, you're a good one, because I don't even explain. Some things are on a need to know basis, and you don't need to know. I got that off of one of the TV shows. I done started watching Criminal Minds. Y'all watch Criminal Minds?
Yes.
I watch Criminal Minds.
I don't watch TV.
You don't watch TV, but I have been binge watching Criminal Minds on my telephone on Netflix. On Netflix. And I just love Criminal Minds because I've always been fascinated with how the mind works. And I love how they kind of profile people. And so one of the guys on Criminal Minds said, well, why didn't we know about it? Why didn't you tell us? And he said, because it's on need to know, and you don't need to know. I'm like, okay. So some decisions, you know, I tell people why I do things. There are other decisions that I just don't. As long as my husband good, my child good, you know, I don't go into detail about the why, you know, because people want to know stuff. Let me close this out right here. There we go, so I can get that. People want to know stuff just so they can have something to say to you, to try to pull you back, you know, to try to give you an excuse or try to make you feel bad about your decision. And most of the time, they want to do the same thing. They just don't have the courage to do it. Amen. Do it. So, yeah, I'm like, okay, that's good for you. I had an incident Sunday where, you know, I didn't get invited to something. Oh, and my heart ached, especially the amount of time I had put into these people, and then they had something, or two of them had something, and I didn't get invited. But you know, when I got home, I was kind of angry. Actually, I went over to a friend of mine's, her daughter's graduation thing, and I was laughing and cutting up, and that was, you know, laughter is good for you and everything. And I was laughing and cutting up, made me feel so much better. But when I got home, I started talking to my husband about it, and my husband said to me, he said, don't you let people turn you into something that you're not.
Amen.
He said, don't you let people turn you into something that you're not. Because I was getting, you know, kind of, you know how you talk about folk and kind of thing, you know. He said, don't do it. He said, you need to back it up. He He said, don't you ever do that. He said, because he said, now that right there, he said, you allow the enemy to almost take you to a place. Don't do it again. And my husband's real calm, he ain't gonna raise his voice, kind of thing. And I'm ready for a fight. I'm ready for some backup to go over there and call him on the phone and say, I did all this and then you didn't even invite me, kind of thing. But then my husband looked at it and said, if you would have gone, what would you have gotten out of it? What would you have gotten out of it? Probably nothing. He said, now you went over there to the graduation party and you had a ball. Because I came back talking about the graduation party. People I hadn't seen in a long time, got to see some people and everything, got to spend some time. People got some good food, right, Cheryl? Got some good food, everything. But the thing is that when you get ready to, and when you get elevated, and then people get angry and upset and jealous because of what God is doing in your life, they get angry because they didn't have the courage to pay the cost that you've paid. That's not your problem. That's theirs. And don't let it become your problem. I almost let it become my problem yesterday. Because my feelings were hurt. And then the Lord let me know last night before I went to bed, I'm bigger than your feelings. Get over it. Get over it. And I did. But then I thought to myself, they better not ask me for anything. I said, they better not ask me to do nothing for them.
They better not, huh?
They better not. But I'm being bigger. Y'all. I need some coaching, some counsel my own self. Oh my goodness. You know how we can be. You got to be real. You got to be transparent. You can't be transparent, everybody. All right. Anybody else want to share?
Yeah, Dr. Sandra, I'm glad that you talked about these things on momentum, because I actually almost stopped my own momentum. I did. Ever since I put out, that the pre-sales for the book and everything, it's like different opportunities was coming up. And I was just kind of like thinking, oh, wow, this is happening to me sooner than what I was thinking it would happen, if you will. And I know, and I kept hearing your voice, when you move, got to give you more. When you move, got to give you more. And I was like, okay. But then I got this text from my sister. And she is, I tell people, I said, that girl is a selling guru. I don't know why she don't get into that, because that child can sell you anything. and everybody at home knows that. And so I had told her, I said, the same way you sell stuff for everybody else, you can help me sell this book. Not realizing that what was going to happen. Because I was just looking at her selling the book. But then when she asked me, she was like, well, Angela, I need you to send me some flyers in color, because, and she just started naming out people that wanted to put it up in their churches. And I was like, so I stopped for a moment. I was like, what? And then she was saying that other people was, wanting in and this up there. And I was just like, okay. And, your hometown, for me, my hometown was the last place I was thinking that would be pushing me for the book. And then I talked to my cousin, and she was like, you got to do a book signing down here. All your cousins are proud of you, and they want you to come. And I'm like, what? And I was just thinking, oh, okay. But then when I started thinking about what the Lord had showed me, because when I contacted my sister, I said, well, how many flyers are you talking about? And she was like, she named out a number. And I was like, ain't that many churches down there? And then she just started going through each church. And then she named out one particular one. She said, I want you to be able to come to this particular church. She said, because they have a way of drawing people. She said, it doesn't matter what event they have, they draw people. And she said, I think that's where you should come to do the book signing down here. And I was like, okay, all right, I'll think about that. But when I started thinking about what the Lord had showed me about this book, because it is a devotional prayer journal, and it does have, the master class and the coaching program that goes along with it and everything, the Lord had showed me how he was going to place me inside of churches to do things that others thought that shouldn't be done in church. As far as the workshops and the different things. He was like, so many people sway away from using a church building. And he said, I want you to be able to use these church buildings, whether it's their fellowship hall or a meeting room or what have you. Not particularly their sanctuary, but somewhere within the church. And I was like, okay. And so far, the people who, even before the book was even finished, being written, was already saying they wanted me to come in different areas, in different states even. It was always pastors. And, and so that didn't bother me. But when it came down to my hometown, where I grew up at, once we moved to North Carolina, I was just like, whoa, wait a minute. Because then I started thinking about some of the stuff I wrote in this book, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. But I was like about to stop my own momentum. But when you said to, make sure that you're doing the right activity at the right time, I know what God had showed me, and I know that it's the time, and it's the right thing. And that's why I was like, okay, Lord, and it's the right place. And so that's why I was like, okay. And even my own husband was like, make sure you're accepting things, because I have an opportunity to go speak in July, or be a part of. Actually, it's going to be a panel of us, only like 3, but it's in Elizabeth City, which is his hometown. And, and it's through one of my brothers in Phi Beta Lambda. He's doing an event, and what he wants to do is he wants to promote people's businesses. And he wanted to have an author that would be willing to do a book signing. And he has a brand new restaurant that he's going to be promoting. And there's another gentleman who does some things. I guess he's like a therapist or whatever. He does things with breathing and stress, like what she was talking about earlier. And so he was saying that he wanted me to be able to come, and then he wanted to know some other stuff that I was doing. And because I do a lot of stuff on mindset, we were talking about that, and he's like, that ties in. And then he even said, I knew if I could get Angela, she's gonna make this thing happen with me. And I was like, wow. And so my husband was like, just make sure you accept the stuff that goes along with what you're doing. And I was like, okay. And as soon as he said that, that's the things that's been coming up. It's lining up with what I do. So yeah, so I thank you for this teaching, because it was very confirming. And it's helping me keep my momentum.
Exactly. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Don't get off the track onto somebody else's track. Don't be driving anybody else's train, and then your train sitting there and it's not going anywhere. Make sure.
Sorry.
That's good. That's
so long to let me know, because I have a class tonight.
Oh, okay.
So I had to know.
All right. Anybody else? Is that my buddy Carol? I'm surprised he didn't come say hello. You told him not to say hello. Oh. All right.
Dr. Williams?
Yes. Hey, Lorna.
Hey, I've been working while we've been talking.
You've been working out or something?
Yes. So last time we talked, I talked about I was doing a lot for my children and probably doing too much and needed to pull back because I wasn't doing things that I needed to get done. My health was suffering because I just had so much on my plate, etc. So I've been purposefully pulling back and saying no. And while they're not happy, I'm feeling great. But one of the things that allowed me to do was to support a girl this weekend at her event. And it was a blessing for me to be able to support her. I'm a firm believer in when we want God to do something for us, we need to be pouring something into somebody else. And God, as God blesses them, that I believe that He'll bless us too. So amazing for me to sit and watch her step out and do what she's doing. And it also gave me more courage to push forward and do what I'm going to do, because there's nobody else doing it. And you don't see somebody else doing exactly what you're doing, you question, well, God, did you really tell me to do this? But I know that I know that I know that He told me to do it. So I'm pushing forward. And my big thing that I am putting all my time into is getting the book written. So I have the right now I have the sample cover for the book. Yay! And I'm not really happy with my title, so I'm massaging the title to get the title exactly the way I want to do it. But that's where I am, just pushing forward on the book. Then it has to come out in November because I've already paid my money and I'm scheduled to do everything that I need to do to release at a big book fair in November. So it will come out in November.
It will come out in November.
It will come out in November.
It will come. And don't worry about the book title. It'll come. I had this long title to my book, and I went over to Katina, actually. And Katina asked me what the book was about, and I told her what the book was about. I told her the long title I had for the book. I didn't like it. And Katina just said, that's just the ministry within. That's how the ministry within got its title. Yep.
Okay.
That's how the ministry within got it. Now it's getting ready to be a course, a workbook, and everything else. Yep. So don't worry about that. And it will get done. It will get done. The work will get done. Just got to pull yourself back from whatever's holding you back.
Well, you caught my attention early when you were talking about doing two things at one time. And I'm still actually moving forward in my career and moving forward in my calling. I know that where I am in my career is no longer where I need to be. I need to move out. I'm being back. I'm not doing what I love to do. And so I've been brushing my skills up and resumes and interviewing and all that stuff, which, searching for another job is a job in itself.
Oh, no, that's Ken. I had to mute her. Go ahead.
Some fruit coming. So I'm trusting that he'll resolve that.
Yeah, and he will. And even when you are, and remember, there are different levels of momentum. So even though you're doing two things at one time, you may not be having the same level of momentum in both. Some could, when you think about momentum, some could be going like this and some could be just starting. Okay. Everything can be full throttle as long as you're moving in both. Right. Okay. But you define what that level of momentum is going to be in each one. And if you need to pare something back a little bit, slow it down just a little bit so this can speed up, that's fine. And then this gets going to a place where it's just moving and moving because you're doing the right things and everything's in place. And then you start this one. I'm sorry, this other event that came on my calendar. And then you start this one to moving the way it should be. But don't worry about trying to go full speed with everything at the same time, because that'll wear you out. But that's why if you do your goal setting in terms of maintaining momentum, if you do your goal setting, then if part of your goal for the week is to look for or to get so far on looking for a career, a new changing careers or either changing jobs, then what are the things you got to do this week to make that happen? And then you won't try to think, because if you think about it, and this is something that I've seen happen to so many people, they get something in their mind they want to do, and then their mind is so filled up with all the stuff that goes along with doing that thing that they don't get anything done. If you do a piece at a time, if it's like researching jobs, researching careers, get your resume. Don't try to get your resume, fix it up, and get it out to 10 places all in 1 week. That's too much. I mean, you can do it, but you can't do anything else if you do that.
Right.
And that's the thing that you have to look at for the week. If I'm going to spend this week focusing on a new job, then I may not be able to do Fresh Wind, Fresh Fire this week, which is your company. I may have to scale back on what I do with that this week. If I've got an order for 15 or 30 or 50 flags that I've got to get out this week, then I may have to scale back or slow down my momentum in looking for my job this week because my time. But you do that at the beginning of the week. You do that planning at the beginning of the week, and that helps you maintain your momentum for the rest of the week.
Okay, I got you.
Exactly. All right, very good, very good. All right, anybody else? Kenya and Stephanie and Lisa and Kimberly, y'all have been quiet. Kimberly was eating. Girl, I don't know what you were eating, but you sure was making it look good.
I'll say just a little bit and let us get out of here. But I did want to say that back in the fall, I started with the impact training out of pure desperation. And it was my goal when I joined this inner circle was I wanted to continue to move forward. I was already moving forward. And I wanted to get back to where I was. That was the goal. But unexpectedly, I not only have gotten back, I'm in a new place. And I'm a little bit shocked at how comfortable I am feeling now that I have teased myself out separate from my relationships. I have literally teased myself out of my relationship separate from my husband, my children, my mama, and I'm just discovering who I am now. And this might be a little, I don't mean I've left them. I'm just mean I've stepped out on my own, and that was actually something that I thought I would be uncomfortable with. But it's feeling very, very good. And I really questioned myself how I got lost like that. And I'm realizing now, only in hindsight, is that when I left, I don't want to say working for the public, but when I started working for Performance Glass, I was no longer exposed to a big community of overachievers, people that I was chasing. And I think I just eventually, over the last 15 years, I ran out of what I had gained from that. And where I was in the fall with my life is I was being drained by my immediate community, which is my family, because we work together. And mama, I'm not that exposed to a larger community. And I'm now realizing that the reason that impact training was working so well for me is it gave me the courage to be who I am inside. That often gets, your family will be the first to squish you down. You would think it would be the opposite, but you know, I didn't get praise from my mom and daddy, and I certainly don't get it from Jamie because we're in competition all the time. But I'm realizing the value in the community that you surround yourself in. It's very, very important.
Very important. Very important. Yes.
And the confidence that you gain from that will only last so long.
Exactly. You got to keep feeling yourself. You got to consistently feel yourself, and you got to consistently be around the right people, and you got to consistently be in the right communities.
Right.
That is so important.
I think what I have to learn now is I've got to find a happy medium. I've got to ease myself back into these relationships, but not to the point where I'm carrying the load for everybody. Everybody's got to carry their own load.
But you're a new person now going into the relationships.
I am a new person, and some people are uncomfortable at the moment. There's me a little bit like, what the world is going on? What's wrong with her? But I actually feel very, very good.
And it's not necessarily that something is wrong with you. It's just that you're different.
Yeah, I'm very different.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people very worried.
They don't need to be worried. They need to get on Impact. Then they'll find out what's going on.
They do, but they're not ready.
They're not ready for it. Oh, you got to be ready. You got to be ready for it. Exactly. Well, that's great. That's great. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else want to? Angela saying good night. Good night, Angela.
Good night.
Anybody else?
I wanted to say, first I was eating butternut squash soup, but I'm doing my cleanse. But I wanted to say, number one, hold up. Oh no, what you said originally, if you don't take your calling to the next level, next season of your life, business, ministry, you're keeping the next person stuck because you don't want to move. So that kind of propels me and continues. Like, that's why I stepped out and started doing more. That's the reason I tell people why I had to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because I think we've talked about before, one of my favorite scriptures being Matthew 5:16, and then one of my favorite poems being Our Deepest Fear. But that's what I started thinking about, like, wow, who am I holding back as a result of not stepping up into what God has for me and the calling of my life. And so one of the conversations I had with somebody earlier, which this momentum lesson is great, is I had a conversation with somebody just about the people you were talking about, relationships and people that will keep you immobile, or maybe I'm probably leaned on too much or stood behind possibly too much, which didn't really fall in line with what I was supposed to do. So this year, this past 6 months or so, almost 7, has really been about me doing more in my business to step out and create things for the ladies, or just whatever, create other partnerships and alliances and things like that with people. And so I guess in essence, that was a part of building my momentum. I'm looking at the notes so that I can make sure to get the point. So about maintaining your momentum, the right activity at the right time, and being around things that help you move. And I had to actually, the people that I was used to encouraging me, that adjusted a little bit. So I had to, first of all, focus on my relationship with God. And then second of all, begin to lessen my dependence on some of those people. And that really helped me to build momentum. Procrastination, I read a whole bunch of books on procrastination, Eat That Frog, and all of those. The Essentialism was a great book. So I was reading specific books to really help me with my momentum. And then the last thing, the to-do list thing, I stopped doing that to-do list. I call mine a results list. So what can I achieve by the end of the day, and if not, I can take it to the next day, but still I'm gonna see some result. So I try to change it so I wouldn't be so stressed out, and it can be positive. But that conversation too earlier, decide what friends can and can't stay in this season. And so I've been saying no a whole lot, and it's not because I'm gonna stop being friends or anything, but it just doesn't fit right now.
Right.
So it's been a whole, like, this impact training, and everything, and then my leadership development has just really helped me to step up. And there's this book I read called Toughen Up that was really key in helping me to be stronger. And it's one that I recommend all the time. And actually, the ladies in Leadership Book Club is going to be reading it this month. And so those are things that really have helped me with my momentum. So that was, I really love this visit. It's like a piggyback off of my conversation. Actually, I was talking to Cynthia White, so it's kind of a piggyback off of the conversation that I had with her earlier, just about how I was saying I had to let some people go in this season to get to the next level.
Yep. And it's hard, but you just have to do it.
Yeah.
I'm learning that it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
But it has to be. And
it has to be okay.
Malika, my business partner, had posted something about how strangers seem to support you more or something when you're growing your business or something. And she was like, is that true? And one of the things that I know for a fact is if somebody is truly your friend, your family, they support you and they love you, they're going to support you in the season that you need to separate from them, you know, or you need to focus on what you do. So that's how, to me, when you really know strangers, they meet you at your highest level.
That's right.
You know, so they don't know all the other stuff. But true friends, like I had my best friend, we've been friends since I was 3 years old.
Oh.
And I barely talk to her. But like when I got honored recently, she sent me like a gift in the mail and just was like, I wish I could be there, you know, so she understands. And so that's what I was saying to Malika, your true friends and family really support you and watch you, and they see you fail and encourage you and support that, you know, they don't say, oh, you failed, so you know, you're horrible, give up, you know. So,
exactly.
And that really helps me too, to know that I have that support. It helps me in my momentum.
So that's good. I tell y'all have just been encouraging me of this whole 3 months, the whole part of Impact. Because when we started Impact, I tell you, I got tired after about the first 3 or 4 weeks. I was tired. And then, you know, because I was standing up and doing it, and I could never get my situation right because I didn't want people to see all this stuff back here because I haven't finished the office and I don't take the time to do it because decorating is not something I like to do, you know, and everything. I like my stuff where my stuff is, you know, I like my work in piles behind me because I know what's going on. And then someone said to me, that's you. Be you, do you. You know, let people see who you are. That cushion over there. I don't know, can you see that cushion over there in the chair? Can y'all see that? Right there?
Yeah.
This lady, that cushion, this lady, her name is Miss Wayne Bedford. Miss Wayne Bedford is this lady that my mama used to work at the mill with. And she was an older white lady. And for some reason, she just loved me and loved me and loved me. I have had that cushion since I was in kindergarten.
Wow.
Yes. Wow. I have had that cushion, and there's an Afghan I've had it packaged now so it won't get messed up, you know. But then we come in here and we sit and somebody sent me a text one day, a friend of mine who was on something. I was on a Zoom doing something for somebody else, and I was using this background because this is where it was. And she said, you need to get that old raggedy cushion. I said, but you know what? That old raggedy cushion means, and it's not raggedy, it's really nice crochet, it's old crochet. So it's real tight, you know, it's been around for a while. Now the stuff on the inside of the pillows got flattened, but that right there is a part of me. I mean, Miss Wayne would write me letters. When I graduated high school, up until she died my freshman year in college, but she would write me letter after letter after letter every single week. And she lived in, what's the city, right? Hoffman. I think that's where she lived. She lived in Hoffman. And we lived in Rockingham, but she and my mama both worked together. And then when my mama stopped working, she continued to, you know, encourage me and everything. And so that pillow has a lot of just sentimental value. So every office that I've ever been in, that pillow's been right there. One time it got missing at community colleges. They had taken it and they moved it someplace. And I said, everybody got to stop. It just so happens the president was gone that day and I was left in charge. I said, lock the doors, everybody look in there because somebody got to find my pillow. but the thing about it is that you've got to do you and be you. That's what's so important about people want authenticity. You know, people want you and if they're going to love you, they're going to love you anyway. They're going to love you regardless. They're going to love you in the change. They're going to love you in terms of taking the time to get to know who the new you is, whatever the right grammatically is, you know. They're going to take the time to do that, and it'll happen.
Yeah.
Everything, new confidence, everything new about you, you know, people are going to begin to love. And what you're going to see is you're going to see a change in them because you've gone up a notch. Now they know to keep up with you, they got to go up a level too. And that gets exciting. That gets really, really exciting. All right. Anybody else? Any other comments or questions? All right. then I'm going to get ready to go. I've got to go live on the Pinkpreneur Network for the next 15 minutes. So
wait.
Oh, yes.
Is there an assignment? Let's
well,
go.
You know what? I was going to give an assignment, but I don't want to give the assignment tonight. Let me put the assignment in the group as opposed to giving it tonight. I just want you guys to think about keeping your momentum moving tonight, as opposed to giving the assignment, because I've got the assignment written right here. But as opposed to giving it tonight, I want to end on, let's continue to just think about building, protecting, and maintaining our momentum. Okay? Because there's some things I want you to do around strategically. How are you going to do that? But it's going to take a while to actually go over what the assignment is. So instead of giving it tonight, I'll put it in a video, and I'll put it in the Inner Circle group. I won't put it in the Vision Building Women group. It'll go in the Inner Circle group. Okay. And
I'm not going to ask.
What?
I promise I'm not going to ask next week or the next week. Is there an assignment I don't know about?
Look, everybody else is like, Lisa, will you please stop asking that question?
I'm scared you're going to spring something on me.
No, but this is going to be a great assignment, though, because this assignment will last you. It's an assignment that you can keep coming back to, or the result. What if you do it? The results you can keep coming back to, and that's what's important. And I really hope that the other ladies, because other people have invested to be a part of the Inner Circle, but for whatever reason they haven't done it, and so and I'm really hoping that they are watching because I don't have a way of knowing if people are watching the replays. I put these replays on YouTube. I don't like putting them in the group, because only you guys have. You can't watch the replay unless you have the link to it, because it's not a public YouTube video. So only you guys can see, because you have to have the link. But if you know of people that are in the Inner Circle but they're not taking part, tell them what they're missing out on, because we've had some really good movement in here and people are moving forward. I had someone ask me, and this is what she said, and we'll close on this. She said, I just want to be in that little group you got going. I had to do like Carol. I had to just, and at first I said, well, what little group is that? Well, I heard you got some, you have an Inner Circle and da. And so I said, well, it's really for women who are truly ready to go to the next level. And if you're ready for that, then maybe I just want to be in it, because I just feel like, and my first thought was, Lord, please don't let me see her name up on PayPal, because I might have to refund her money. Like I said, this season is a season that Sandra's not going to deal with foolishness.
Amen.
I'm just learning. I'm not going to deal with foolishness in this season in my life. I turn 54 next week, and Lisa, we both turn 54 next week. Yeah. So y'all don't know, but Lisa and I have been good friends since
long time,
kindergarten. Yeah. Miss Barnes, Miss Barnes is on Facebook.
No,
she's on Facebook. Friend her on Facebook. Bonnie Barnes is on Facebook. That was our kindergarten. No, she was our first grade teacher, not kindergarten. First. Bonnie Barnes was me and Lisa's first grade teacher. She is on Facebook. Yes, she is. She's been retired a long time, but she's on Facebook. So she's another person that always encourages me. Whenever she sees something, she sends me a note of encouragement on Facebook. But anyway, so y'all, even though the ladies said, I want to be in this little group, this is a small group. I'll go with that. But it's doing amazing things in y'all's lives and my life and in the people that are around us. And that's what's important. That's what's important. Okay? All right. So I'm going to say good night. I'll have this recording up, and I'll put it, the link to it in your, in the Inner Circle Facebook group. And then we will also give the assignment that I have on here as part of a video in the group. Probably won't do it until Wednesday, because I've got a full day tomorrow. So I probably won't do it until Wednesday, but it'll definitely be up this week. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.